Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hey, hello there and welcome. Yes, it's Wednesday. Yes, it's whatever the hell it is, September 5th. Yes, Chris Potter is joining me. Hi.
And I'm all toasty warm.
Are you warm now?
Because Lynn loaned me her little, what is that,
I have a little
Ashmina or whatever.
Yeah, it is here. We were sort of huddled, both of us. Like huddled before you.
Like little refugees.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cold in here.
Yeah, well, they got to keep it cold to, keep the temperature down here.
Yeah, I know, because
this room tends to fill up with
hot air.
Supercharged. Yeah.
So I was just asking Pata if he watched the convention, and I'm sorry to say that he pretty much didn't.
I read this morning.
And I was telling you that reading the speeches is not at all equivalent to watching them, watching the crowd reaction, watching
perhaps
the
Lynn,
energy
you're more
in
easily
the convention.
swayed by stagecraft.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Man. If the Republicans are watching that, they've got to be scared.
Yeah.
They got to be scared because what you didn't see and what you saw if you were looking at it was a convention, namely a bunch of people come together who were so fired up. Fired up. Yeah. Now, did you watch any of the Republican convention?
I did see some.
Okay. You never ever got the impression of that kind of energy at the Republican convention.
Reporters have said that too, who have been at both. That just
you could even
the crowding in the room, like the size of the gathering itself,
everything. But it's because the Republicans are just. I was thinking, it's like they're the basic things that your tongue can taste. Sweet, salt. I was looking at the Democrats convened. And I'm sorry, they just look like salt of the earth.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
There's every what a motley crew. I mean, there it is. Every American. There's guys with turbans on.
Well, that's not going to help you with the Fox News crowd.
I know. Well, who cares?
Well, screw them.
Everything. There's
exactly.
I mean, at one point, I scribbled on my little notepad because I started having so many reactions. I wanted to write them down, and almost every cutaway. You never saw a white face?
Yeah.
So I started this. Yeah. I actually wrote down, hello, could you show a white person?
Right.
Because they're there too.
Yeah.
It's like the director of the event is so enamored, this is the networks, obviously, is so enamored of the diversity and of this motley crew that to look at a white person just doesn't seem to be the point. But,
right. Well, they may just not have had any choice.
There are plenty of white people there. But that's what's scary. I was thinking, so if a certain kind of Republican is watching that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see, right.
This
is their nightmare scenario of what the country will be.
Look at this. Look at this. I mean, exactly.
Right.
There it is.
Right.
And I mean, the contrast was so obvious. So you got the Democrats, salt of the earth, and then you've got the Republicans who you didn't get a sense of salt of the earth with the Republicans. What you got was not salt, but sour.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
Right.
Sour.
It's good how we're doing all the taste sensations.
That's
and then
what
we'll go to the green convention and we'll get umami, right? That's that taste that like miso has, right? That's that one taste that nobody knows what to kind of make of it.
What it is. You don't know where to put it.
Which is
on the
perfect
scale.
for greens, actually. Now that I think about it.
But I was not going to watch, and I pretty much didn't. I had more important things to do, like watch a Cary Grant movie.
Which one was it?
I'd seen it 5,000 times. It's not even that good a one, but I can watch him do anything. Mr. Blandings builds his dream house.
That's the name of the movie?
Yes, with Myrna Loy.
Oh, man.
1946.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, my excuse for not watching that stuff is I have a 16-month-old
All
at
right.
home.
All right.
But Cary Grant.
And
okay.
I was going in between Mr. Blandings builds his dream house and America's Got Talent. You know, sometimes you need to just chill the old brain, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then as soon as Mr. Blandings finally built his dream house, I thought, well, you better.
Well, thanks for giving away the end.
Well, the whole thing is about him building the dream.
Well, it's in the title.
It's like the money pit.
That's
it's
the joke.
Right. So there, I turned it on, and of course, by then the networks aren't covering it at that point. So I tuned in. I don't know what, one of the cables, and there was Deval Patrick.
Yes. Whose
the mayor
read terrifically well, I thought.
His speech read well?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was very well
It was
constructed.
delivered extremely well.
Yeah, I heard that.
Strong, powerful. And here's another thing that the Republicans failed to do, all their speakers. They weren't focused on what they're there to do.
Yes.
I mean, Deval's focused on getting Barack Obama reelected, and that was so clear.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to say that to me, you know, this really does feel, the longer, I mean, we've said this before, but I think the longer this campaign plays out, the more true it becomes. It really feels like this is 2004, except the roles have reversed. I mean, I just feel like, you know, back in 2004, incumbent Republican president and Democrats who were just kind of running against the guy in office, not really sketching out a vision or whatever. I feel like you've got Deval Patrick, and this to me is the heartening thing about, you know, what I've seen and what I've been reading, is to hear these guys actually, you know, it's almost like they said, well, we may as well just run as Democrats and see how that works for us. And that's what they're doing. So you've got Patrick.
Didn't he have a line in that speech where he actually said that?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
No, I think someone actually did say.
Yeah.
We're Democrats. We will run as Democrats. And that went, by the way, the place went
bonkers,
wild.
Yeah, and I think it's because there are a lot of people who for a lot of years have felt frustrated by it. Even with Obama to some little extent, I think there were some of us who felt all this talk about there's not a red America and a blue America, and we all damn well know that it's true, that there is a red America. We see them on display regularly now. So I think that just came, and you get a guy like Patrick gets up, and I think the line for me was just, it was about the gays in the military, and he said, you know, what qualifies you for service is your love of country, not for your love of another. And I just thought, you know, that's it. You know, I almost worry that that there won't be any good lines left for Obama.
Oh no, that's not true. Though.
But to just have somebody come up and just state it that way, and just say, this is who we are, this is what we believe.
But let me tell you.
And if you don't
let me tell you, why am I blanking on who was on before Patrick? Because I think I saw the end of that speech. And all of the speeches.
Was it Strickland?
No, it wasn't. Strickland supposedly was wonderful, and
I saw part of his delivery, which I didn't think was that great.
Oh, you didn't think it was that great?
He's a little tendentious. I think he just
okay.
Anyway.
But here's what was going on a lot of talk about gays and marriage.
Yeah,
every speaker. Everything I heard, there was a pointed remark about how we support people who, you know, we're about love and not about, you know, restrictions
fear
on
and
love
hate
and fear
division.
And hate. And I thought, wow, I mean, if you were a gay person watching this convention.
And you don't go vote for this guy?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Then you deserve
don't
whatever.
vote for this crowd. I mean, it's just beyond me. It's beyond me. But Deval Patrick was marvelous.
Yeah.
And then did you read the keynote address by
Julian Castro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julian Castro.
Sorry. Yeah. I anglicized that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Julian.
It was pretty good
yes.
speech, too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And very well delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they got Rubio. Okay, we'll take your Rubio, and here,
Right.
we give you Castro. And, you got your young, handsome Hispanics. We got our young, handsome Hispanics.
Right.
Tit for tat.
Yeah.
The difference was the energy in that room. The fact that the Democrats are supporting something,
Yes.
someone.
Yes.
And the Republicans have nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. All they have is their hate
Yeah.
and fear
Yeah.
and their opposition.
Yeah.
That's all they have.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean I think that's again, it's part of this sort of gratifying feeling about it is I'm so used to being on the losing end of these identity politics battles, right?
Yeah.
How long have these issues been used as wedge issues against us? And so to see Democrats, and let's be honest, part of it is a result of the economy continues to struggle, and that's a more difficult case to make. Whereas you sort of get behind some of these constituent groups who are finally, after so many decades, are finally starting to get their due and come into their own. So they're clearly trying to rally us, but
Right.
I'm for that because finally issues like gay rights are not just being used to animate the other side and to energize the other side. They're being grabbed a hold of by our side and touted as
The right
thing to do, which they absolutely are and always have been. And
Exactly right.
That to me is just, the other thing we haven't mentioned. I'm sorry, do you want to?
Well, I just want to say one other thing.
sure.
There was a line, I think it was in Patrick's speech. He said something, and the convention came to its feet. See, here's what you don't get when you're reading.
Right.
Yeah, it went nuts. I mean, I don't know if he knew that line was going to get that. And I tried to imagine that same line being uttered, let alone responded to, at a Republican convention. Here's the line. It was something like, he was saying that when one of us gets somewhere, when we make it, we don't and slam the door.
Yes. Yeah.
We reach back
Yeah.
and try to help
Yeah.
others. They came to their feet. And I'm thinking that is the sense. Democrats are people who believe in helping.
Right.
Helping
Right.
other people. It comes
Right.
down to as simple as that.
Right.
And that spoke to their values and their
Right.
sense of who they are. And up they came. And imagine a Republican at that convention in, godforsaken, wherever they were, Tampa, saying, and when we get there, we turn around and keep that door open and pull others up. Can you imagine those sour faces?
Yeah.
Would that have... Yes.
The golf clap, I believe they call that. Yeah.
Right. Would that get Republicans off their asses?
Right.
No.
Right.
The only thing that would be something, Ayn Randish.
Yeah.
Like, I made it,
Right.
and no one helped me. I built that.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I know it's great. I think the First Lady also made a very similar point. I mean, the other thing we haven't mentioned is, and I don't know if you saw it. I watched online the Teddy Kennedy video,
I didn't see it. Yeah.
Which I think you would. I mean, I try not to have feelings as a general rule, because I find they just interfere with my work. But I kind of teared up a little bit. I mean, this is again. Granted, this is for an audience and probably the TVI that it ran before, the networks carried anything and all that stuff. But, there was an example of just a guy whose legacy, they just said, you know what, this is our guy. And we're just going to own this legacy and tout it. And they also, this is the thing that I thought was really...
You mean he was bigger than Chappaquiddick?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, he was bigger than Mitt Romney because one of the things they did that was brilliant and that really apparently pissed the Republicans off was they had excerpts from his debate with Romney when Romney ran back against him. I think it was 94. I'm blanking on the year. And they had these debates, and of course Romney was up there, and it's this great double-edged thing because one, you get to see Romney get his ass kicked,
and you get to hear him espouse liberal values.
Exactly. I believe in blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And Kennedy just had some great lines. He says about women's rights, I'm pro-choice, my opponent is multiple choice, which is just like if Democrats are not using that in the next couple months, I don't know what to tell you. The other line, he just said, in the past few weeks we've seen Mr. Romney come around on so many of these issues. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 weeks from now he's voting for me. It's It's just like, and somebody tweeted this, and during your convention, your keynote speaker had a debate with a chair and lost, and now your nominee just had a debate with a dead guy and lost that too. It's just great stuff. They're just come out, and I just think this is so much a different. You just look at how these guys are executing right now.
Absolutely.
And there's for so many cycles.
They stand for something. Excuse me, that's what it comes down to.
And
their values are on display.
Right.
And the Republican values were on display too, and they're awful.
And the other thing too is the posture. They are not just standing for something; they're taking the fight to these guys. That's the difference. How many times did we watch Kerry, or did we watch, Mondale, or these guys kind of apologize, always on the defensive, always backing up?
Was it Patrick who said we need backbone? He actually brought up backbone.
Yeah, and so we're taking. I just think that's the thing. Yeah. The difference is they're just taking the fight to them, and they got to do it because honestly, the backdrop here, which we'd be slightly concerned about, despite as good as this convention makes us feel, is Republicans again for the third month running raised $100 million.
If money can buy, if we're corrupted to the point where money literally can buy money, and voter ID shenanigans and all kinds of other efforts to depress votes, to lose votes, to whatever, have votes disappear. If that's possible, if we're all that corrupted, then they can win. Otherwise, I don't see how they can. I'm sorry, I don't see how they can. Another thing that was odd, it was the contrast that I kept thinking about the Republican convention we just saw. The other thing at the Republican convention, at every Republican convention I have ever watched, and I've watched them all for decades and decades, the big thing the Republicans always do is military.
Yes.
Our boys are this, are that.
Right.
And there's, the war, they're always there. The fact that the Republicans had a convention while we are at war.
Yeah.
And never mentioned it.
Yeah. Striking.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the person who introduced Michelle Obama last night was a regular Ohio mom with 5 sons, one in each branch of the military, 1 or 2 deployed at any moment. She had written Michelle Obama a letter just saying, whatever, thank you for your work because Michelle's done a lot of work for the families. And, and
that was a signature issue for Obama, too, even when he was a senator.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So there were the Democrats warmly embracing our troops, acknowledging them and their sacrifice. Not a peep.
Yeah.
The only thing the Republicans got close to is arguing for more spending for the military-industrial complex.
Right. That's beyond, in some cases, beyond what the Pentagon is even
asking.
For.
No, because
this from the party of fiscal restraint.
They like military because those defense contractors, they golf with them.
Yeah.
Those are their buds.
Yeah. Very significant.
Unbelievable. Okay, there was one part. There were so many things she said, and a lot of the lines have already been. There was a great line about being president doesn't change you; it reveals. Doesn't change who you are; it reveals who you are. Right. And I think I'm sure that's true as well.
That's why I've never really felt sure with myself. I haven't been president yet, I guess.
Here's why I think these speeches were so great. Here's Michelle's toward the end, and so she's done so much. If she had to humanize her husband, who's considered pretty a cool customer, she did it and then some. She did more in that regard than Ann Romney did for Mitt. But here, how the exhortation at the end, which is what a convention's about. It's to fire up your troops.
Right.
And get them out the door.
Right.
And get them working, doing anything they have to do to win the election.
Right.
So can I read some of this? Okay. So today, when the challenges we face start to seem overwhelming or even impossible, let us never forget that doing the impossible is the history of this nation. It's who we are as Americans. It's how this country was built. And if our parents and grandparents could toil and struggle for us, if they could raise beams of steel to the sky, send a man to the moon, and connect the world with the touch of a button, then surely we can keep on sacrificing and building for our own kids and grandkids. And if so many brave men and women could wear our country's uniform and sacrifice their lives for our most fundamental rights, then surely we can do our part as citizens of this great democracy to exercise those rights. Surely we can get to the polls and make our voices heard on Election Day. And I got goosebumps at this next part. If farmers and blacksmiths could win independence from an empire, if immigrants could leave behind everything they knew for a better life on our shores, if women could be dragged to jail for seeking the vote, if a generation could defeat a depression and define greatness for all time, if a young preacher could lift us to the mountaintop with his righteous dream, and if proud Americans can be who they are and boldly stand at the altar with who they love, then surely we can give everyone in this country a fair chance at that great American dream. Well, the place goes wild. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
You know, on the other hand, Ann Romney had to touch the principal of their trust fund to pay for college. So I just want to put that out there, too, if in the annals of hardship. Of Americans triumphing over difficult odds. I understand there had to be some stock.
You said you started crying at the Kennedy thing. Yeah. I teared up a few times in Michelle's speech.
Yeah.
Because she was touching me.
Yeah. And, you know, tonight's Clinton, which will be fun.
Up against the Cowboys and the Giants.
Wow.
How did we schedule our convention to coincide with the start of the NFL season? Even when Barack does it on Thursday, he's up against a big game.
Yeah.
You don't think that matters?
You know what? I mean,
why did we
New York's going for Democrats. Texas is going for Republicans. It's not really
There was some people in between.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be that. I'm looking forward to that speech for the reason that Republicans in their infinite wisdom have decided to ride this hobby horse of welfare, how Barack Obama is supposedly eviscerating welfare reform. This sort of lie that keeps getting repeated. And here comes the guy who signed welfare reform.
Yeah.
And he's just absolutely just going to rake him over the coals on it is my expectation.
Yeah, so, exactly.
So that'll be fun.
Here's the other thing I thought when Michelle Obama walked out, and you just reading the speech aren't going to be able to appreciate this. The first things I wrote on my little thing are, those shoulders.
Yeah, that's every time you see her.
Those arms.
Yeah, she's...
God!
Yeah, she's always...
Woo! She is so tough and strong looking. And you know what's funny about her? She's got a cowboy's legs. She looks like she's been riding a horse too long. You haven't noticed that?
I have not.
She's bow-legged. She has her legs going. So this elegant woman, and then she has like sort of Gabby Hayes legs.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me. You never noticed that?
I did not. No. Mm-mm.
She. They're bowed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not straight. They don't come out straight. They're
I know what bowed means, Lynn.
Like
Thank
parentheses. You know what I mean? Oh, God almighty. Oh, look who's writing us. Tom Sokolowski. He's talking to you, Potter. He says that page is called Umami. Umami.
Isn't that what he said? I thought
I think you said something else. What did he say? I'm not into any of this Japanese stuff myself. I'm an American.
Thanks, Tom Sokolowski.
I prefer hot dogs, and if I want something hot on them, I'll put some good old hot sauce on them and on it. Umami. Okay.
Thanks for setting me straight, though.
He's definitely more sophisticated than you.
No, that's a tough hurdle to clear.
Ansel writes, Lynn,
Yes.
I was surprised to see the Democratic speakers embrace the phrase Obamacare.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you own that. Own
Yeah.
it.
Right.
I never liked that label, and I believe it was the Republicans who termed the phrase. That's right. Own it.
Yeah, because what else can you do?
That's right. They always try to demonize everything we do and who we are. Own it.
Right.
Don't run from it.
Look at some of the labels. I mean, just even like from the art world, impressionism is a word we all use. For most people now, it has really positive connotations. It was originally used as a slur. Just like, oh, these are just mere impressions. But now...
Take that, Sokolowski.
Take it. Take... Yeah, right. There we go.
An art history nugget right there from him. Okay, Democratic, and this is Ansel again. Democratic Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick's speech was strong and better than Castro's. I do agree.
I tend to agree with that.
Also, he says, I've been saying for the past
3+ years.
Oh, 3+. Jeez, I saw 34. How?
Yeah,
I
can
my
see
eyes
that,
examined.
yeah.
Okay. For the past 3+ years, that Obama doesn't blow his own horn enough. Oh, God, is that true?
Yeah.
He needs to take a lesson from these speakers and talk about his accomplishments with the same passion they do.
That's right. Absolutely.
And Ansel says, I cannot stand it when a speaker tries to get the crowd to repeat the same phrase over and over. Yeah, it bothers me a little bit, too. But didn't Patrick do it? And to good effect.
Yeah. So, USA. That's
Oh, God! Oh, God!
And if you don't like that, you just don't like America.
No, that's
all
right. USA, in your face. I'll kill you dead. USA. Oh, I mean, that's the Republicans. Oh, man, it just makes you all warm and fuzzy, doesn't it? Jeez. Here's Lynn. I had a ball last night watching that convention. There is America. Not the sea of white faces of those Republicans. The speeches were rousing, delivered so well. It struck me as I watched these younger minority Democrats who were speaking. Castro, Patrick, Booker, all went to Ivy League colleges and probably were the result of the much maligned affirmative action programs. It allowed these people to finally flower. We are beginning to see the fruit, I guess, in our society. Think of the Jews who, once the quota system was taken away from the elite universities, were able to, Actually, do you know, I was the first, when I went to Northwestern University, I was the first incoming freshman class in which the Jewish and black quotas had been lifted.
Really?
That is how long it took them to let some Jews in.
Wow.
Now, both my parents had gone to Northwestern as Jews, obviously, so they always let a few in. And I went, and that was the year they opened things up. And I remember saying to another Jew who I met, during the first week, boy, are they in for trouble, right? Yeah, we'll show them. And sure enough, there were sit-ins immediately and all kinds of trouble, and it was always...
It's exactly what they were afraid of,
It was always the Jews and the blacks.
Right. Exactly what they were afraid of. You know that somewhere in the Board of Trustees, somebody's going, I told you so.
I told you. Actually, I have a story about my father in 1941. Was trying to organize... He was a freshman at Northwestern. He was trying to organize a Peace and Justice Week or something. He was appalled by some of what he saw and witnessed. And he went to the president of the school with his other little Jewish friend. My father was very tall, and this other guy was a little tiny guy. And they somehow got in to see the guy. And I know what it was. They were protesting the fact that a huge grant had been given endowing the School of Business or Engineering or something, and there was a little caveat on it. No Jews.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. And the Northwestern accepted it. And so my father went with this other little guy. He was 18 or 19 years old. And he goes and speaks to the president about what an outrage this is and how blah, blah, blah. And my father was not an angry man, I can imagine he did it very well. And as he was walking out of the president's office with the other guy, he clearly heard, the president say, like on his little machine or whoever, There were 2 Jews in here, one tall, one short. I don't ever want you to let them in my office again.
Wow. And he probably didn't care at all and probably even wanted your father to have overheard that.
So my dad went to Washington, D.C. He got an audience with Justice Brandeis and Justice Frankfurter. And he also talked to Ralph Bunche. He got Ralph Bunche to come to this. He organized the event. He got these people to come.
So did they overturn the grant or
no,
whatever?
No. Hell no. It was
money. Yeah, right.
No, come on. I mean, and there was still, and you can see why they didn't want Jews in the school.
Because they were loud and pushy.
Trouble. That's right. They caused trouble.
Think about that, though. I mean, that's Northwestern. That's not like Bob Jones Liberty University or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's
the church. I think that's the Methodist sponsored elite WASP school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like not my lifetime, but my parents' lifetime, certainly.
Right. And in my lifetime, I was the first one let in when they lifted the quota.
Remarkable.
Yeah, remarkable. Change ain't easy. And that's what Michelle was saying last night.
Right.
It's not easy. It doesn't come as fast as you want it. But hang in there. I think we should take a break.
Absolutely.
We shall return.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Pittsburgh City Paper is now available on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com to read this week's digital issue or search for restaurants, bars, concerts, events, and movies on any portable device. Plus blog, Lynn Cullen, City Guide, CPTV, and Best of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com. Get Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay. David Gergen.
Yes?
What did Tom just write to us?
Up yours, Luddites. You know...
Tom? What were you
Luddites.
referencing?
He must have been referencing our ignorance of... Also, I have to say, that seems to me a misusage of the word Luddite, as far as I know, unless he's implying that we lack sophistication about technology. I just thought we lack sophistication about taste.
I don't know. Anyway, Gergen was heard to say afterwards, if these Democrats have 2 more nights like this, they could break this race wide open. He was saying this is just so amazing.
Yeah.
This was absolutely, he said, they're, unbelievably professional handling of this convention, as opposed to the Republicans who just screwed up left and right. Ha ha!
So I have to ask you, after the Eastwood thing, were you tempted to come in and just like talk to one of these chairs for an episode?
Well, that's interesting. Actually, I didn't even realize I was going to do it, but when I started the show, I did. I pulled the chair.
Oh, did you really?
Over.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't do it for a lot. It's just, it's just too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when have we ever let that stop us?
I adore Clint Eastwood, and this is very hard for me, this whole thing. I'm sorry. I cringe for him because I think his movies, I think he's one of the really, really, really good ones. And I think he's incredibly talented. And, wow, I just can't.
Well, I have to say, I mean, judging from Ruth Ann Daly's column on Monday.
What was that?
Apparently, that was actually a great speech, but the media's liberal bias prevented you and I from recognizing it.
Ruth Ann is very smart.
She is.
But
But she does this thing from time to time where she's just where she tries to convince you that just because Rush Limbaugh said something unfortunate, that doesn't mean, that it's fair to judge the party that way, even though he's obviously the most popular guy in the conservative movement in this country. It was a very odd column. She objected to. She's like, how his speech was rambling. Is that what people think? I didn't think it rambled. And it's like, of course it rambled. Honey, of course it rambled. It lasted twice as long as it was scheduled. Like, that's an objective fact. He was supposed to speak for 5 or 6 minutes, and he spoke for 12 or 13.
And even though they had the red light blinking on him, he disregarded it.
That's the definition of rambling, when you speak for too long, and sometimes it's not clear where you're going. That's just an objective
He needed
fact.
a director.
And then she does this thing, which I always love. It's just like, well, hey, it's no fun. You can't make fun of Clint Eastwood because once Barack Obama, during a town hall meeting in Bristol, Virginia, stammered a few times.
Oh, right.
She's like, just this quote. Yeah. She's like, I bet you thought that was Clint Eastwood. In fact, it was Barack Obama. It's just like, God. Come on. Really? Just take your lumps. Exactly. But what else is she going to do? Write about Todd Aiken? I actually would have been interested to see that column. Ruthann, the pro-life woman, talking about why we got a call.
Hello.
It's the purveyor of umami.
All right, you.
All right.
No.
What is it you want from us?
You're absolutely right about Luddites. I just said dullard. But anyway, it's interesting. I've been listening to you and sharing your exuberance about last night. But it's very interesting when Lynn said, anyone watching this, and if there's a consistency over the next 2 nights, we have the election, swept up. And I don't agree, simply because I think people listen to what they want to hear.
Yes.
And for those of us who found, the articulateness and the wonderful rhetoric of the speeches last night and the sincerity against what we saw last week, that's partly because we're hearing what we wanted to hear. And they were better speeches. But I think the Republicans who wanted to see the white faces or wanted to see, didn't want to hear about the gore of war, and I don't mean Al, they didn't want to hear that, so they were going to exult.
Yeah.
Well, but the one thing that this wonderful convention, I think, is doing is, whipping up the crowd. I mean, granted, it might not sway. I mean, first of all, who watches?
Right.
Well, true.
Right.
Yes.
So you got to get.
Lynn, you went back and forth to watching, Here Comes Honey Boo Boo or whatever.
That's
and,
you.
You weren't watching every moment. And the question, the sad part is, those folks, they go to the polls. Our folks don't.
Right.
Young women don't. College students don't.
That's right.
And that's the real frightful problem.
Right. Well, Lynn's a horrible citizen. Let's agree with that.
That's true. That's true.
Do you know what I already agreed to do?
Tell me.
Well, I did. This is so beyond my comfort zone, but I'm doing it for Obama. I'm doing because I think we all need to get out of our comfort zones to help. I have given money in the past. Money's easy to give as far as I'm concerned, right? Okay. I'm not one to go do phone things. I can't do that. But so what
really?
Phone banks? Oh, God.
What a charge it would be for people around here to
No, I just can't do it. I can't do it. So the thing I can do is they were calling around or sending emails saying, we're going to have a lot of people coming in to work and they need places to stay. So I agreed that I can house a few Obama people in my home. And I said I can do it starting now until the election. So
wow,
go for it.
Good for you.
But, I have to tell you, I like my house by myself. I will be very uptight. I know. I will be uptight. I won't be able to wander around looking like a slob and this and that. And
you do have some rickety artwork too there. It's not a child-proofed home. I'm just telling you folks out there.
Well, there won't be children.
Well,
These
maybe
are
I'm just saying maybe they'll be organizers with
These will
kids.
be young people from God knows where. I hope.
Yeah.
What if
I
it's
thought
some
you were
dirty
gonna
old
say
man or something?
I thought you were going to say you were going to go door to door, and I was going to say, wear a raincoat, because I'll probably see people with buckets of water.
No, but I mean, that's so out of my comfort zone. But I thought,
Sure,
I'm going to do it.
Good for you.
Yes, thank you
for
very
you.
much. Thank you.
You prove citizenship to be what it is. All right,
Yeah.
have a good morning,
You
friends.
too,
Bye-bye.
Tom. Bye.
I mean, I'll definitely. I think there's a lot of truth to what Tom just said there, which is, of course, it is true that you and I watch this, and I don't think. I think part of the thing is, yeah, there are going to be Republican operatives who watch it, and like you said at the beginning, this is their nightmare, right? So of course they're going to be motivated by that stuff in a kind of negative sort of way. I think the larger issue is just people not watching at all. And we sort of need to remember that those folks are out there too. We saw that
most people don't.
Right. So I mean, like, so we should, I think it's definitely worth kind of keeping that in mind. On the other hand, I mean, this is, I guess I just see this in a sort of broader perspective, which is win or lose this election. I have just seen, we back away. Democrats have just backed away, and every time we back away a yard, the right pushes forward a yard. And it's just to finally see a party stand up and just say, this is us. This is who we are. This is the rock on which we stand. And if we're going to lose, okay, we'll lose. I obviously don't want it to happen, but at least we'll be able to say, these were the principles we had and that we stuck up for. And I think long term, Republicans have shown the wisdom of that strategy. They certainly have lost races in the past, 64 Goldwater, and yet they have sort of fought this longer game, I think, than sometimes we have. And I think we've gotten I think what's happened is we've sort of been complacent for a few decades because so many of the gains that we got in the latter part of the 20th century, you could roll those things back on the margins and we wouldn't really feel it. You know what I mean? I think now, in the past year or two, the stakes are just so obvious to us that you can't just buy these guys off. You can't just play for time. You can't play defense on them because they're just going to keep coming.
They're relentless.
And so what we're finally doing is choosing the ground that we're going to fight on. And I think that's really important.
But that's energizing.
Right. Right. It's energizing for us, and it stakes out a principle. And I think, whether this works or not with independents, you could say that argument either way. On the one hand, independents, want they want to feel like they know where you stand. How many times have we had that argument with George Bush? At least you know where he stands, right? I mean, that was the thing with Kerry. Now we're in this situation. We've got a Republican challenger who even Republicans will admit
we don't
really know what he's about.
No, and they don't even like him.
Yeah.
They just hate Obama.
Yeah.
They're motivated by hate of Obama. They're always motivated by negative hate, fear. It's what gets them. It's a real difference in personality and values, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, and I think too. I think too. The other thing as well is just what we're also seeing is, what Tom says is true, but there's nothing that can be done about it. And the Republican types, they're just always going to do what they're going to do. It actually does not matter what the facts are. I think we're at that point where we all realize it. In the past, it's sort of amusing. The past few weeks, there was some hand wringing going on in media circles. Why aren't our fact check pieces affecting these campaigns? Why aren't they incorporated in our factual based analysis? And it's just like, look, where have you guys been?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, seriously, like you're surprised by the fact that they just don't seem to care what, we called them out on this, and yet they continue to.
Well, when facts don't matter, we're entering dangerous territory.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
Because then you're entering the territory of 1984. You're entering territory where anything repeated enough times and with the imprimatur of whatever the authorities becomes truth.
Yeah.
And don't believe your lion eyes and.
Yeah.
This and that. And we're very close to that. I mean, it seems to me that the Republicans have already gotten there.
Yeah. Great piece by Kurt Eichenwald, I think, in Vanity Fair online. Somebody will correct me if that's wrong, but it's Kurt Eichenwald, who's just like, this is a guy who, he's voted for Republicans in the past. And he says, even if you're a moderate Republican, you should be hoping for a big, not just big loss for these Republicans. Because if you believe even in just sort of the basic rationality facts and things like that, even if you believe in a reality principle,
push them back.
You can't. These guys, your party is being blown up from within.
Here's what's going to happen.
And God help you if you end up governing.
But here's what's going to happen. Let's say something like that were to happen. I don't think it is going to.
No.
Where they're swept away.
No, I don't either.
They would then argue. The argument that would be proffered by the loons
Right.
who've got the party by the balls is that we put Romney up.
Right.
He wasn't one of us. We didn't have the spine to
will
put
be the
our
argument.
real, a real avatar up.
Right.
We put this idiot, and so we need, and so you can see them sort of even further.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Constricting in their reaction. What Democrat was it who I think just yesterday renounced his party affiliation? I mean, it's not surprising. Of course,
Right.
it's a moderate. Lincoln Chafee.
Yes. Yeah.
He's just finally said, "That's it.
Yep.
I'm out."
Yep.
And he called on other moderates to do the same. And I know some moderates would say, "Well, I'm going to fight the fight from inside."
From inside.
You've lost the fight
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
So the thing you do need to do, if you're a moderate Republican, is get out. You don't have to become a Democrat.
Yeah.
Just get out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because as long as you're there, they'll take your votes, and then they'll.
I don't know if you have children, if you have a daughter, if you have gay friends, if you have whatever. There's so many reasons why you would say, I cannot stand with these people.
Yeah.
I will not. If you believe in facts, if you think evolution is, probable. And
Hey, Lynn, they just want to teach the controversy,
dear God,
which doesn't exist. But
Ay, 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 ay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we should take our second little break.
Great.
And if you guys have anything else to talk about, and Potter will just duck his head a little bit, remember you can call 412-316-3381, and you can also email us at lynn@pghcitypaper.com.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Go to birdbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, the History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. This week, get 50% off tickets to the Pittsburgh Irish Festival. Birdbargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. Birdbargains.com.
Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, I scared the hell out of God. Oh, I didn't mean to scare you like that. Oh, my God, did you see him jump? Oh, that was so funny. I'm sorry. Oops, I didn't realize I was on. Excuse me. Well, now comes my opportunity to again suggest to you that here again, this is in total keeping with Democratic Party values. Volunteering for the Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council. You know, you might actually be teaching some undocumented immigrant how to read English. Yeah, I'm sure the Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council doesn't ask to see their papers when they come if they do not speak and want to know how to speak and read, whatever. Democrats believe in helping people. And I can think of nothing more wonderful than signing up to be trained as a tutor, one-on-one tutor for the Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council. These are people older. Generally, they're adults. They are adults. They want maybe to get a GED finally. They want opportunity. They're highly motivated. Think about it. I'll give you a phone number. 412-393-7600, 393-7600. And understand, the reason they're asking me to ask you to consider this is because they don't have enough tutors. So that people who want to learn how to read come to them and literally cannot be helped right away. They have to be put on a waiting list. There shouldn't be a waiting list. Check them out on the web at gplc.org, Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council.org. And, like I'm challenging myself by having people sleeping in my house who I don't even know. Challenge yourself. And teach someone how to read. That's it.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a pep talk that can motivate you. sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You can improve your future. Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and for free classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education, brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Oh, yeah, here's Lynn Cullen. And here's Chris Potter. Chris Potter joins me on Wednesdays because he's relieved that yet another edition of his wonderful newspaper has hit the streets today, and he has the time to take a breath. Isn't that right?
Nah, Tuesdays are usually my...
No!
By Wednesday, I'm already worked up about next week's issue.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this issue because it looks like you have something interesting here about... This is more redistricting stuff that I don't know about. This is more like suppressing the vote of Democratic voters. What's going on?
So much talk about voter ID, and yet people haven't really paid attention to this other side.
Clue us in.
So the piece this week is by our news editor, Charlie Deitch, and he's taking a look at the redistricting debate as it affects Pittsburgh, and specifically as it affects some of the East End neighborhoods that are black that are currently represented by State Senator Jim Ferlo. That district typically has wrapped itself around sort of the northern and East End neighborhoods of the city, then kind of bled out into the east suburbs nearby. And what what Republicans have now done essentially is reconfigured that district, or proposed to reconfigure it, so that it's basically oriented northwards and now covers the area formerly held by Jane Orry, the discredited state senator. But it still has these little slivers of Highland Park and Lincoln Larimer and some of those places as well. So what you've got is a district that now just basically treats a chunk of the city's African-American population as just sort of like a little rump attached to all these white prosperous voters up in the North Hills. If this map goes through, and I didn't realize this until I read it in Charlie's story, if this map goes through, and it's been challenged, it'll go before the state Supreme Court next week, the same day that voter ID happens. There will not be a single state Senate district in Western Pennsylvania that has more than 20% black representation. So that's what's at stake here. Also, it probably means that Jim Ferlo, who's just been a fixture of the political scene here,
he could be out of
because he will because that seat.
Well, is that what they're doing more than anything? Is targeting Ferlo? Yeah,
I mean, I think there's a complicated set of factors here that comes into play. But yeah, I think what it has to do with is they wanted to. I don't know that it's personal towards Ferlo, although I've heard that said. But at any rate, what it is they're drawing this district such that it will be a shoo-in for Randy Vlakovich, who currently holds Orry's seat, and this is the same territory. This district would basically be redrawn to overlap the vast majority of. And is this
for the upcoming?
No, it wouldn't be for November because they wouldn't have because the lines wouldn't be in place. It would be effective in the future for starting in 2014.
Well, guys, this is what happens when you don't go to the polls. I'm sorry, it's what happens when you don't go to the polls. The Republicans get to do this.
Well, in fairness, and this is weird, it's what happens if you don't vote in judicial elections.
Well, that's right.
Because the way this is set up, is set up is there's one each of the state house and the state senate, the majority and minority each get a person who goes there, and then if those four representatives can't choose somebody, there's a fifth member, and if they can't choose between themselves, the state Supreme Court chooses, and they chose, because it's a Republican court, they chose a Republican guy, and there you go. So in this case, one of the Democrats, Frank Dermody, actually voted for the map, which is sort of an interesting.
And why would
article.
he have done that?
Well, I don't want to speculate. I mean, what his official statement is this map conforms to the requirements set out in the state constitution, which is not a popular opinion amongst the Democratic caucus, including the other Democrat on the commission, who is Senator Jay Costa of Monroeville, who will also be getting a part of the old 38th district if this happens. So it's a mess.
The chicanery and shenanigans continue apace.
Indeed. And folks should remember, this is the second time there was a previous, and this is sort of the interesting wrinkle here, is this is the second time that a map has been drawn because the state Supreme Court earlier this year tossed out the first map. And one of the ironies is in that first map, this district wasn't really affected at all. So Ferlo is actually worse off. And of course, part of what's going on here is in between that first map and this map is Jane Orry was convicted. And so part of the dynamic is, and this is one of those things, the biggest scandals are always bipartisan. Generally speaking, incumbents like to stick up for each other. And so when Orry lost, it sort of changed the demographic, it sort of changed the facts on the ground about how they wanted to structure those districts. So there you go.
Oi! That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Anything else in the paper worthy of our attention? Apparently not.
That's for you, the readers, to judge. I mean, I have a column about the Port Authority bailout and specifically the use of state sales.
Oh yeah, okay. So that is somewhat troublesome. So all of a sudden, the RAD tax is what saved the buses. Now I'm for the RAD tax helping cultural venues, which is what my understanding is what it's for. And I'm for saving the buses and transportation.
And now you feel as though these two values are at odds, don't you?
And why would that be? Because there really isn't another funding source?
Well, I mean, there is another funding. If the county wanted to, I mean, there was a tax created specifically for the purpose of helping transit, and it was called the drink
tax. And
the drink tax, people may remember, was reduced. It was originally 10%. It was cut down to 7% because it was generating too much money. If they wanted $3 million out of the drink tax, they could just raise it back to 8%. They could raise it to 8%.
Do you think people are drinking less because of the drink tax?
I mean, even if you could raise it slightly more than that to offset that.
Do you think restaurants have gone out of business?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I think it's been a tough market for the past few years. But what's really going on is, Rich Fitzgerald, who to his credit has taken this issue pretty seriously, doesn't want to say. Who wants to be able to say, I didn't raise taxes, that this rescue plan does not raise taxes. And so what he's doing is he's raiding an existing source of tax revenue that has nothing to do with transit because he doesn't want to raise the tax that was created, at least ostensibly.
And he has said that it will not impact or hurt any of the cultural organizations that rely on the RAD tax. And how's that possible?
Because what he says is, look, if you look at the increase in RAD tax revenues even just this year has been about $3 million up through August. So he's saying, and it's not a bogus argument exactly. He's saying that we'll just be skimming basically off the top of this new revenue. I mean, there are a couple of problems with that. One is, past performance is no guarantee of future results. Who knows if Mitt Romney is elected president and and blows up our economy, maybe the tax revenues don't stay that high. The other thing is, and this is what the arts groups will tell you, is look, we have been waiting a long time for extra revenue. Like, this money that's coming is something we've been hoping and praying for because we've had hard times for the past few years. And now what you're doing is you're already carving out some of it before we've even gotten a chance to get ourselves back onto our feet. All that said, I mean, I think there are very good arguments for being concerned about it. I mean, I think fundamentally, at the end of the day, if it was a choice between hitting up the RAD for $3 million and walking away from this transit rescue plan,
you hit up
RAD for $3 million because the stakes are just, and we should all think about, go back for the past few years, think about how many times you and I have been here worried about what's going to happen, worried about the worst case scenarios that the Port Authority has to churn out every year. Think about that going away for a couple of years.
A couple of years, and then it'll be
that's actually the interesting thing about it. And the one area where if I was an arts person, I would make this point I would go very hard at this point. The contract with the Port Authority workers, which is the kind of thing that everything else depends upon, only lasts for I think 4 years. Fitzgerald is asking for a 10-year commitment of RAD money. And it seems to me that the arts groups could say very plausibly, you're asking us to make a longer-term commitment to this deal than you're asking the people who are actually benefiting from it. And that seems a little odd. Now, the county's position is what this is about is creating a structure, a long-term structure for the funding so that we don't have to worry about this crap. But if I was an arts group, I would say, look, 10 years is a long time to commit to something like this for a
but how much
funding
power
mechanism
do
that's
the
never
arts
been tried.
Groups have? have.
You'd hope they have a bunch. I mean, remember, these decisions are made by the RAD board, 4 members of which are appointed by Fitzgerald himself, 2 by the mayor, and then the 7th is picked by the other 6. And you need 6 votes to get an allocation. So Steve Bland of the Port Authority, I think, will be presenting tomorrow to the Port Authority this plan. 6 of those 7 people have to support it. Now, you can be sure that the 4 that Fitzgerald has appointment powers over will approve that plan.
Right.
Ravenstall has made some noise, but at the end of the day, I think he comes to the same conclusion that I do, which is you don't want to be the mayor against transit, especially because all those arts groups all vote for Peduto anyway in your re-election bid next year. So they probably go for it too. If I had to bet on this, I would say this plan will pass, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I mean, I think the large groups have a legitimate concern, but I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're okay,
you're okay.
I'm okay.
And we had this note on a certain 1970s affirmation.
Hey, did you hear the guy is the same? I'm okay, you're okay. Remember Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
Sure. Richard Bach was the writer of that.
Wasn't he just injured in a plane crash?
Oh, was he? Oh, that's ironic because he also wrote a book about flight.
No, because he's all about flight.
Yeah, right.
I think he didn't die, did he? But did he crash? Check it out. Richard Bach, B-A-C-H, plane crash.
Dear me.
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere. Was that an awful book, or did you never read it? I never read
Jonathan?
it.
No, of course I read it. I mean, my parents in the 1970s. Well, it had like 12. It had 12 words in it.
He's not dead, though.
He ain't dead, but he was injured in a plane crash. There, see? See? I thought you read the papers.
I don't really care that much about Richard Bach.
Honest to Pete.
He'll be unfettered from this wheel of sorrow or whatever the hell. So.
All right. Well, the big dog's coming out tonight.
Yep.
That would be Mr. William Jefferson Clinton.
Elizabeth Warren also set to speak, I believe. Sandra Fluke, although she's an earlier one. So
I'm probably only going to see Bill because I got a late dinner invitation.
Oh, really?
And so I just have to get home by 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's and Mr. Sokolowski will be in to talk about the convention.
Tom Umami Sokolowski.
Yeah.
Umami, maybe we'll just call him. Yeah.
Your mama. And that sounds sort of the same?
Yeah, sort of.
All right, okay, goodbye.
Your mama tastes like.
Thank you very much. Shut Your mama tastes like. Oh, God.
I was about to start doing the dozens, but we're out of time.
Yeah, we're out. Goodbye. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.